You're teed up for Golf News RI TV on CW Providence with your host Joe Calabro and his guests. We're talking everything golf around the region and on the tours. Now, here's your host, Joe Calabro.
And welcome to Golf News RI TV, episode 16. I'm Golf News RI co-founder and CEO Joe Calabro. We are here at Spargo Golf at Buttonhole. This is a show that I've always wanted to do right from the get-go. In today's show, we're going to start with an interview portion, and then we're going to actually take you through a club fitting, because everyone's getting fit for clubs at all times. Without further ado, my man, Jon Pannone.
Thanks for having me, Joe. Appreciate you.
Thanks for taking a few minutes out of your busy day.
It's a nice early morning for us. It's perfect out.
Yeah, it's early morning golf. Not really my thing, but I like late morning anyway. But thanks so much for doing this. I want to start with one. You just won the U.S. Mid-Am qualifier.
Yes,
so we'll
sir.
start with you first, then we'll get into the club fitting stuff. But you just won the U.S. Mid-Am qualifier. You won the U.S. Mid-Am in mid-September down in Virginia. Talk about that. How cool was that?
It was a lot of fun. Got to play with a couple of really good players, and made some early birdies. Then down the stretch had a little bit of a swing flaw that missed the last 4 greens, made 2 bogeys, but made 2 huge up and downs and sat around. It was fun sitting around the putting green at Agawam for a few hours, just sweating it out, watching the leaderboard. But yeah, I'm really excited to get back. My wife and I are going to hit the road the Tuesday before and make a fun little road trip out of it.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, so super cool. Anytime you get anybody from Rhode Island in a USGA event of any sort,
right,
is pretty cool. I mean, we had Tommy and Hamilton play in the US 4 ball
last year.
We had Bobby in the US
pretty much
amateur.
Every single one. Yeah, seeing like Ty get in, watching them. It's always fun over the last 10 years, just watching all the guys. If anybody from Rhode Island was in a USGA event, man, the computer was just wearing out the reload button watching them. So it's going to be fun to be able to get back and playing well.
How much preparation are you gonna put in for that?
Will
you put in for that?
My hope is to put in quite a bit. I was telling my wife that my goal is to just be prepared to enjoy the whole process of the tournament. I played in one in 2011, USAM, and I was really gung-ho on playing really well, where I just want to be prepared to have a good time and enjoy the process of it.
Now, you have a fascinating story. I had you on my podcast when I used to do podcasts months ago, and you went pro, then you get your amateur status back. I think golf is the only sport where you can turn pro, then go back to being an amateur. The only caveat is maybe tennis. I don't know enough about tennis, but maybe tennis you can do that. But anyway, that road back to being an amateur, what's it been like for you to be back playing at these events, the State Am, the Mid-Am qualifiers, whatever it may be? What's this road back to amateur been like?
It's been a lot of fun. A lot more nerve-wracking and nervy than I thought it would be. I thought it would just be coming back, having fun, seeing old friends, competing against guys that I hadn't seen in forever. But once kind of the first tournament was the Rhode Island AM, and the opening of that was just very, very. It was like a golf festival with all the best players in the state, and it's just yeah, this is what it was always. Kind of a funny moment of just what were you thinking it was going to be? But the golf is so fun and very difficult. You got to play really, really well to win in the state. As you know, every club around here has a roster of absolute just stud players.
The game of golf you left when you went pro is not the same game of golf you came back to, at least in Rhode Island amateur world. It's so competitive now. I feel like we're as competitive as it's ever been. I mean, as far as I can remember.
I couldn't agree more. I think it is. We have quite a few guys who played, 10, 12 years of pro golf, and now there isn't really much to play around here. You don't have the state opens you have the state opens, but you don't have any mini tour golf to make somewhat of a living during the summer to then go to Q school, where a lot of these guys are in that age of 35 to 45, where it's it's kind of no man's land if you don't have a PGA Tour card. So you're seeing, couple guys up north, Jimmy Renner, in the mid-am qualifier I played with Billy Walthouse. He got his AM status back the same time I did. So you got a lot of good players. So it's fun seeing the leaderboards. Is it's the right competition.
Yeah, I think Jeff Dantis got his amateur status back.
Another one.
Our buddy Peter Walsh got his amateur status back. So, again, only in golf can you go, I think, you can go from pro back to being an amateur. You can't.
And still go and compete. You can't.
Still go and compete. In hockey, you can't just turn pro and be like, oh, yeah,
I'm going to go play in this amateur league in Canada or something.
It's a fascinating process. But it just tells you how hard it is to make it as a pro, which we're learning by watching the Davis Chatfields and Patrick Welch's of the world, among others. So I want to get into Spargo. You've been here for how long?
So at the shop, I've been a part of the shop since winter of 2015, full-time 2016.
So we're in the second segment. We're going to go through a fitting, an abbreviated basic version of one. But just talk about, what it's been like to work here, how much you learn about the game yourself by working here and working with different equipment. What's that been like?
So it's been a really fun journey of, working under one of the best fitters in the country in Tom Spargo. I find it I was very fortunate in my golf kind of journey that I got to work under guys like Shane LeBaron, Spargo, and got to learn really the nuts and bolts of this game from very, very smart people. And then as the progression kind of started of taking over the business, it was, it's truly an honor to walk in and have that name still on the glass and be representing that shop. But it's taught me a lot more of what the golf industry is, how big the golf world is, really. Being a competitive golfer, you kind of get stuck into this tunnel vision of you're surrounding yourself. We were talking about it before we came on of, to get better, you surround yourself with better players. So you're always putting yourself kind of in an awkward situation to try to learn something and get better at something, where coming back into the studio and meeting, the other 99% of golfers was a lot of fun, and realizing how much, of a community this game is outside of the pro game, and kind of realizing and going back to getting my AM status back was, the amateur game is way bigger than the pro game. We watch the pros, but
for sure,
everybody in here would rather just go play golf type of thing than watch it. But in terms of the equipment, I'm still using some of the same equipment Tom fit me into. So still taking advantage of learning under the master. But learning and seeing ball flight and learning how these shafts, can help tighten up dispersion patterns, how line angles can change things, and how I can adapt my equipment to, a swing that I'm looking for or a ball flight that I'm looking for, has helped my game overall.
Awesome. And we're going to get into all of it in the next segment. This is GolfNewsRI TV. We'll be right back.
Now back to GolfNewsRI TV with your host, Joe Calabro, and today's guest. Special thanks to our sponsors, Providence Performing Arts Center and Forever Green Turf Management.
All right, welcome back to GolfNewsRI TV. We're here at Spargo Golf Shop, located at Buttonhole. Spargo was voted as the #1 club fitter in Rhode Island by Golf Digest in 2023. So obviously they're a huge brand, and it's really cool to be here. Like I said, I've been looking forward to doing this show. I've wanted to do this show since the beginning, so happy to make it work, and thanks to John again for having us. So we're going to take you through a club fitting. Two things. One, I'm using my own club, 7-iron. It's a Callaway iron, so I'm not actually getting fit. It's my own club. And two, prior to taping this, John took us through club weight, shaft lean, all the good, juicy, nerdy stuff that you want to know. He did it on my club. And so here's a quick look at that, and then we'll come back and we'll get right into it.
So when a player comes in and they're looking to see, what they like about their club, the first question we're asking them is, what's your favorite club in the bag? So say Joe brought in and says, 7-iron's my favorite club. So we're finding out that it sits right at D2, and then we're going to put it on this way and figure out total weight of the club. So the fun thing with club building is we can make multiple things D2. So I can make a very heavy shaft D2 in the swing weight, but what we're looking at here is the total weight of the club, so that we figure out this speed step shafts are usually around like 80, 85 grams, And then we know the head weight, we know the grip weight, we know the length. So then from there, we know what this player likes in the feel. So then from the fitting, all we're trying to do is mimic that feel in the golf clubs that we're fitting him into, because that player likes the feel of it. Then we're looking at the shaft profile and seeing kind of where the next step to go is to get this player playing better golf. Yeah, so this is the swing weight scale. It's done in B, C, D, E, F, G. So most golf clubs hang between C9 and D5 in terms of just stock off-the-shelf clubs. Where this is going to be is where a player likes the feel of the weight during the swing. With all of these different shaft profiles, you've got different balance points, different kick points to mimic kind of where the wrist pattern releases in the golf swing.
All right, so John, you just took us through all the weights and all the good nerdy stuff like we were talking about.
All the juicy stuff.
So I have my own 7-iron. So what do you, to get the club fitting kind of started, if you will, what kind of things are you looking for? What are we going to do here today?
So the first thing we're going to do is, like you said, we just kind of we call it mapping out the golf club. So we see what the player's gamer is. Most players are going to come in with a goal in mind. They want to hit the ball higher. They want to hit the ball lower. They want to spin it more. They want to spin it less. They want to hook it less. They want to slice it less. Most players just want to hit it straight and far. They just want to hit it better. But so what we're trying to do first off is get your goals. Figure out what you're trying to accomplish. So it gives me an idea of what to look for when watching your ball flight. What we did here is lie angle is going to be kind of that first aspect. Length and lie angle are going to be the first things we're looking at while testing some shafts. But length, lie angle, make sure the club is fit to you like a suit. You go and get tailored for a suit, you're 38 slim, whatever you are. If you go to the store and just get a 40 regular, yeah, it's a good suit. It's just not going to fit you. So when you go to that tailor, we're matching lengths. So there's static measurements, dynamic measurements. Dynamic is at impact, the kind of what's going on in the golf swing. Static is going to be you're just standing here like this, knuckles to the floor, the old ping chart. Wrist to the floor, height and wrist to the floor, and that's how they got their lengths. So what we do here is have you hit some golf shots. I want to get familiar after warming up. We're going to make you swing cold, but we'd have you warm up, and then what I'm going to do is get the flight scope going and then just get a session with your iron. See what your distances are. See what your spin rates are. Kind of ask the player, hey, is that a good session? Is it a good representation for you? But yeah, if you want to swing away. So we're just setting up the ball. Got a dry erase marker on it and straight up and down. So we're going to just get an idea of where on the club face you're hitting your club.
All right. I think it's going to be off the toe, probably.
Not bad for first swing of the day. So if we come in and see, little off the toe, but kind of straight up and down. So what we're going to look for is length. Is this club too short? Is this club too flat? And try to get, ideally, the center line hit. So if we can get this dead center hit more often, we're going to be in a better position. Sometimes when we see this toe hit and it's straight, well, sometimes that means the club's drooping too much. So every shot that's ever been hit, club droops. So as that club comes into the ball, head's drooping the shaft, we're trying to figure out where that shaft needs to be controlled. And that's why there's hundreds of different shaft profiles. If you think about transition in a golf swing, we're looking to see if a player pulls down or pushes out. And then we're seeing where in the downswing does the wrist unhinge. So everybody kind of cocks the wrist, and as they come down, it's going to unload at some point. You have some players who hold the angle really hard. You have some players who early release, fall back, flip, kind of hit slices. Your holders are going to hit it really low. They're going to spin it a lot, but hit it really low. So then what we're trying to match in that is a kick point in the shaft to match this release pattern. And see how close the consistency is. Because what we want in the shaft is the shaft to be kicking in the same point consistently so that you can just make your natural swing and know that the head's going to be where you think it's going to be. So we can see off of 2 shots, pretty darn consistent, a little bit more inside, but we've got a player who hits it relatively low. So we're going to try to figure out, can we get a shaft profile that gets the ball launching a little bit higher with proper spin so that the ball can stop on the green? Then we're going to start diving into the real fun stuff of gapping the irons, of figuring out, okay, where does your set start netting out of, hey, I'm inconsistent, or all of these clubs grouped together. A lot of players we see, it's the 4, the 5, the 6s. There's that set of that part of the bag. So that's where we dive into, say, hybrids, to see if we can get a 4 or 5 hybrid to launch, where the 4 and 5 iron, you have to fight it to get up in the air. So then we go into the kind of the other side of it, where we match the wedges to where your pitching wedge is. So once we figured out a shaft profile for you, then you get to pick your head. What style of head do you want to play in? Do you want to play game improvement, players clubs, whatever it may be? Then we know where to go off of the pitching wedge, so that we have all of the zones of the bag covered. And then so that when that player goes out, for example, you're going to go play Kirkbride, your home course, and not be in a position that you don't have a club or you don't have a shot that covers that yardage. You look at some of the holes on your, say, back 9, where you've got to get the ball elevated because the green's a little pitched up. Well, if you're a low ball hitter, that ball is going to just bury into the front of the hill. If we could get launch up a little bit, well, now all of a sudden that hole that you could never get a ball close, you're getting a ball close.
Fascinating stuff. We'll be right back here on GolfNewsRI TV with wrapping up my club fitting and wrapping up the show. Stay tuned.
Now back to GolfNewsRI TV with your host, Joe Calabro, and today's guest. Special thanks to our sponsors, Imagine Gift Store and Schoolhouse Apartments.
And welcome back to GolfNewsRI TV again here at Spargo Golf at Buttonhole. Come check them out. Come visit my friend Jon Pannone here if he's not too busy. So we just took you through basics of a club fitting, certainly an abbreviated version of it for television, but one, that was fascinating. So thank you.
Hey,
who knew?
Thanks for coming in.
Who knew there was so much involved in just seeing how somebody
hits
a golf
tool here
ball.
has got a lot going on in it.
So a couple things just to wrap up that segment. One, and you talked a little bit about what you're looking for, but what should people that are coming in kind of be looking for? What should they have in mind? What should they not what their goals should be, because everyone's got their own goals, but what should people be looking for upon coming in to see you?
That's a great question. I think players should come in with an open mind of, testing equipment, looking at this as more of a testing. You're looking to see if your equipment is good for you, and we're trying to see, can we find anything exponentially better? Sometimes we can't, and that's a good thing. As a player, that means your equipment's good for you. Now go to work, go practice, go play, go do what you need to do to be good at this game. And if we can find something that fills the gap, because we have live ball flight of what you guys just saw, you'll be able to, as a consumer, and more as a golfer, but as a consumer, you'll be able to say, hey, that's going to be worth my time, rather than just going and buying the next equipment.
Technology is crazy now. In 2024, there's a crap load of indoor places, as we all know, the TrackMan, the whatever other stuff they use, right? How has that changed or improved your business, or how has that kind of changed your business?
So in a way, it's in ways it's been very positive, because golfers are touching their golf clubs all winter. Where back, growing up Northeast, you kind of put your clubs away for the winter and you went and played hockey, you skied, you did something else, you played basketball. Where now golfers are playing all the time. On the other side, yeah, we've had to keep sharpening our skills and continue to be better, because there's more operations that are opening and there's more fitting opportunities for players. We just want players to get fit. We prefer it by me and Steve, but as long as golfers are getting fit into the right equipment, they're having the most fun playing it.
Absolutely. It's been a fascinating episode for sure. Hopefully you all learned something about club fitting and what to look for, what not to look for. And I'm happy I didn't embarrass myself hitting balls on TV without a practice session, just for the record. A couple of things. We want to congratulate Gary Parento and Shailene Clark on winning the King's Crossing Club Championship. Every week, just about, we've been acknowledging recent club champions.
Oh, awesome.
We have a graphic that goes up, so I think it's a cool thing.
Congrats.
I think it's worth acknowledging.
Fantastic.
And also, you want to stay tuned to GolfNewsRI.com over the next few weeks, as we'll be following Davis Chatfield and Patrick Welch through the Korn Ferry Tour Finals. And then there's Q School after that. There's LPGA Tour Q School going on as well that we're tracking. So you want to stay tuned for all that stuff. Hopefully, obviously, they have deep runs, and perhaps Davis is right on the border of a PGA Tour card. You were a pro, and the minute or so we have left, just one, how hard is this stuff that people are going to be reading about Q schools and stuff?
Blown away. What Davis and Pat, I've been fun. It's been fun watching Davis. Really rooting hard for him because what he's doing, what those guys are doing, and the girls are doing, it's impressive. It's on a different level.
It's almost Q school time. Does that still give you nightmares?
Thankfully, no.
I talked to like Will Dixon and other guys that go to Q schools, and
they lose sleep about it. Yeah. It's very expensive, and it's going to be hopefully a 3-month grueling focus. You can't kind of lose sleep. You can't lose focus at all, or you're getting ejected.
Can't let go of the rope, right? As they say.
Absolutely not.
The other thing, of course, we'll be tracking as well over the next few weeks. College golf is starting. Everybody's moving back into school. We'll be following everyone's rounds as best as possible on GolfNewsRI.com. So we definitely want to check it out. We have kids playing all over the country, from Illinois to Rutgers to obviously locally.
Yeah, we got a bunch. We have a great representation.
It's pretty cool to see where golf is in Rhode Island.
It's awesome. It's getting better and better each year. You see the high school kids coming out, watching them at the AM. They've all got game, and they're ready to do some fun things.
All right, awesome. Well, John, thank you so much for taking some time.
Appreciate it.
This has been a lot of fun. Again, it's a show I've wanted, a show idea I've had since we launched the TV show. I thought this would be really cool and really informative for people. And we were able to do it. So I'm really excited. So thanks again for taking a few minutes.
Always welcome back.
We'll let you get back to work, and we'll wrap up the show. This has been GolfNewsRI TV. We'll talk to you guys next week.
You've been watching GolfRI TV on CW Providence.